Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson. This is my host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
So tonight we are going to review the movie called Final Girl. It was released in 2015.
Now, wait a minute. Here we go. There was another movie the same year, I'll mention it again later on, called The Final Girls. Same year. And this guy in the movie here is Alexander Ludwig, is in both films.
Yes.
Okay. This one is an action horror thriller, and The Final Girls, which we reviewed a couple of years ago, is a parody comedy.
Parody horror comedy.
Comedy horror parody type thing, based on the Jason Voorhees style.
So if you're wondering, guys, no, this is not a sequel or a prequel.
No, it's just a totally different movie with a similar name.
Yeah.
So The Final Girls is not this movie. It's Final Girl 2015. This is the one you want.
Yeah.
It stars Abigail Breslin. So if you find the one of Abigail Breslin in it, you've got the right film.
Yes, and it has a different different type of theme to this movie.
It's not what you think.
It's not what you think either.
It sort of is, but it's not. It's a totally different take. Actually, I'll go through my normal stuff and you'll see what I mean. Okay.
Yeah, go on, Mike.
Okay, produced by Fred Smith. No, Jack Nasser. Excuse me, Jack Nasser, Rob Carliner, Joseph Nasser. Oh, they might be brothers or something. Yeah. Okay, directed by Tyler Shields. Now, Tyler Shields, this is a directorial debut for him. We did one for somebody else the other day, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So, hats off. He did a reasonably good job. There you go. Now, the screenplay was written by Adam Price. That was based on a book written by, or storyline anyway, by Stephen Scalata, Jandro Seri, and Johnny Silva. Okay, they wrote the story, and Adam did the screenplay. Now, having said that, let's go.
Was there a box office thingy?
No, because it had a very limited run and went straight to DVD direct sort of stuff.
Okay, so it just had a premiere
it was
somewhere.
A limited run. Might have had a couple of little cult art house theatres or something or other.
It just went directly to DVD or video.
Yeah, whatever. Video on demand, I think. But anyway, here we go. Abigail Breslin plays Veronica. I don't normally mention this, but in the beginning of the film, there's a young girl called Grayson Sinye, and she plays a young version of her when she's a child. She's a cute little girl, and she worked well. Anyway, Alexander Ludwig plays Jamison. He's a bit like, in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they had a watcher who trained her. Well, he's a bit like one of those, but this isn't supernatural. Okay? So he sort of gets her and he trains her up. Okay?
Who's this one? Huh? Who's this guy you mentioned?
Oh no, sorry, Ludwig. He's a naughty guy. Sorry.
Yes, I was trying to figure out.
Sorry, wrong one.
If we got the right person.
No, I got it right. Alexander Ludwig. He's a naughty guy. Okay. Yeah, head naughty guy. Next guy is Wes Bentley. He plays William, which I believe is her watcher type guy who trains her up and molds her into the person she becomes.
He's either an agent of sorts. I'm not going to say an FBI agent.
We think he's something like a CIA or FBI. We don't really know his backstory. Yeah. He has got a few skeletons in his closet. His wife and or child was killed by some guy years ago, and he was trying to get revenge on similar type people.
Yeah.
That's all we know.
That's all we know.
Now, Cameron Bright plays Shane, Reese Thompson plays Nelson, and a lady by the name of Francesca Eastwood plays Gwen Thomas. Now, having said that, she is Clint Eastwood's daughter.
Really?
I thought she wasn't, but look, she is Clint Eastwood's daughter.
Surprise, surprise.
And here we go. And Logan Huffman plays Daniel. I won't worry about
or
the
Danny.
Danny, yeah.
As a nickname, whatever they call it.
Oh, Danny boy. Anyway.
He does come off as a bit of a Danny type because he makes me think of John Travolta at a young age.
Actually, I was just wondering whether they got that. Danny, because he did singing and did a bit of dancing in his home before he went out and stuff, and and anyway, irrespective. What else can I say about this as I'm going through here?
Well, how about this last female character? Even though she doesn't play a very big role, she just has a few lines.
Well, Emma Paetz, Paetz, plays Jennifer. Oh, there's only one left. Desiree Zarowski plays Nelson's mother. Strange relationship there, folks. Daddy's in jail. She's treating her boy a bit like the man of the house type thing, literally. And we start to go, okay, is there a bit more like a Norman Batesy back the front here or something?
One thing, before I begin with this movie, it does come off as has a noir look to it.
A modern
noir look.
Yeah.
And it's not only just the modern the lighting, I should say.
Actually, most of it is done at night time anyway. So it has that film noir word dark movies.
The fact that it's also the wardrobe and the props they use in this movie. Now, here's
something. We think, we don't know, this is not, they have not designated the year or anything.
No, there isn't.
We think the year is based around somewhere in the 80s. But these boys are dressed up in tuxedos all the time. Like, they're going out on the town. Well, look, suits, whatever. Suits, in black suits, white, it could be like the Men in Black sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But they're always dressed up in nice suits. And you're going, okay, what era?
Because also we see Veronica, who wears the bell dresses, dresses that make you look like you got a skinny frame, but you have a sort of a bell shape.
Those layered dress which puff out a little bit.
Puff up a little bit. So she kind of wears 2 or 3 dresses in this similar fashion.
It's just one. They puff out. So I had a 50, 60 style. That period, but we think it was supposed to be set in the 80s.
Yeah. And her younger self looks like she was dressed in a very cutesy outfit that she should have worn back in the 1950s, or I don't know what era. Again, we don't know what era.
Yeah, so we don't know. We're just so if and when you decide to see this, try to figure out what year or decade it was supposed to be based in. 'Cause I don't have a clue.
We do see a typewriter back in the credits scene.
Yeah, she's typing.
But
you're like an ordinary typewriter, not a word processor.
Not a computer, no laptops.
For you young people, it was before laptops and stuff. You had real keys on it, and it was harder to play with.
And and not to mention, there have a similar hairstyles, for 1950s or 1960s.
Well, the girl did. The Jennifer, whatever.
Jennifer and one of the other girls made me think of Marilyn Monroe because of, I guess it's her blonde hair.
But there's a blonde. But some of the ghosts, I'll mention some ghosts. Some ghosts appear later on in the guy's mind, and some of the girls wearing miniskirts. Yeah. And miniskirts didn't come out till sometime in the mid-late 60s.
Yeah, and it could have been the fact that maybe they had not a very big budget to play with, maybe.
So, we don't know. He's looking for an image. I think he got his image.
Yes.
Anyway, can't think of anything else to say before we roll into it. Right. No, I can't think of anything else. Yeah, we don't have any budget or anything on it because limited cinema release and went straight to video on demand. Yeah. So we really don't know too much about the whys. Release date was August the 14th, 2015. And it almost pretty much went to video on demand at the same time. So, so it didn't have a big theatrical run. Anyway, do you want to start telling the story, Jubbles?
Yeah, might as well. Yeah. So the story begins. William is interrogating a young Veronica, and he asks her several questions, mostly about her parents and a little bit about her observing, mind. her mind is very sharp.
Yeah, very smart little girl.
Like, she remembers everything about her old house, every single detail.
He took her through a mind thing. He said, close your eyes. I want you to visualise your house, and I want you to how many steps to go to there, how many steps to get to your bedroom from the front door, and how many steps to go to the bathroom. So she had a really good, sharp mind, and she did a maze, like on a piece of paper, and we got through it really quickly. Yeah. So, smart little girl.
Yeah, and he says to her
she's 5 years old, too.
Yeah, and he then says that he will like to take her somewhere to teach her things. And she says, okay, how do I... So, will I have ice cream? And he says, you'll get anything you want.
Like. Yeah.
And she smiles, and then 12 years later, I think it was.
Yeah, 12 years later. So she would have been, in this movie, supposedly 17 years old.
Yeah.
Like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Veronica is with her teacher, Miss William. Obviously, we'll just call him Will.
Billy Boy.
He's explaining to her the mission she's going on. See, she's dealing with 4 boys, and we know for a fact they have been killing girls here and there. And Mike and I discussed this sort of thing. We were talking about how he knew about their activities.
Now, we speculate. Now, if he is an agent, freelance agent for the CIA or whatever, or FBI or whatever, he might have a friend in the police force who led him in the right direction to find these 4 naughty guys. We think. Because it doesn't come out in the movie.
Yeah. Also, guys, I think...
I need your history.
Yes.
Yeah, William had a situation, like I might have mentioned before, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
His wife and child were killed by a very bad man. They told the little girl that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Veronica is trained, like she's trained to fight and stuff like that. And she also develops a crush on him, a one-sided crush.
Oh, yeah.
But he doesn't bust a move because
for him it's purely business.
Yes, he doesn't see anything between them.
Yeah,
because I know his mind's on the job. That's the word.
He wants revenge.
Well, his mind's on the job, pretty much. He wants to take his revenge on people who may take advantage of people.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we then meet our 3 boys. There is the ringleader, Jameson, I think his name.
Jameson.
Who's the ringleader. And his 3 other colleagues, Shane, Nelson, and Danny.
Yeah.
And he's the ringleader who ropes in the girls.
Yeah, he entices a new victim in by being suave and sophisticated and asking her out on a date, and they end up going to a
dark woods.
And, Sarah will tell the rest of the story now.
Yeah. And each time he takes these girls to the woods, they hunt that girl down and kill her.
And bury her somewhere.
Any types of weapons they may bring with them.
They may use baseball bats or axes or whatever they got. They've even got a gun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, so Veronica's put through different training methods. She even has to pick up a guy in one of the scenes when they're about to get frisky. She kind of puts him in a chokehold and he passes out. And then Will approaches him saying that you attacked my girlfriend and you should get lost. Okay. This is sort of a test.
Yeah.
Anyway, they then arrive at the diner that the boys often visit with their I think it's either Nelson's girlfriend.
I think it's Nelson. Yeah, I think it's Nelson. Yeah.
Yeah, who's they go there, and she goes. So Veronica goes inside there for a fact-finding mission with French fries.
Why not?
Anyway, she goes in there and she talks to Jennifer.
It's Shane's girlfriend. Sorry.
Yeah, Shane. Sorry.
Yeah.
So she talks to Shane's girlfriend Jennifer, and she tells her a few things about the boys and her boyfriend, and how they're a pack of wolves ready to shred each other into pieces.
Shred. Yeah.
So she confirms this with Will and tells him they're being torn apart. And then Will explains to her that this mission she has to go solo.
Yeah, because he can't be there.
So he then gives her a special drink sedative to confirm what's her worst fear.
No. He mixes up in a drug.
A drug.
A combination of truth serum, sodium pentothal probably, and DMT, which is a hallucinogenic drug as well. So, and he gave her a small dose so she can face her greatest fears and whatever. Yeah.
She does this, and as her biggest fear is failing the mission and being being terminated or murdered or killed. And he then says, she finally gets revived by him, and she asks him, if I did fail a mission, what would you really go through killing me and stuff like that? And he says, you know the answer. I think that from the get-go, I think she knew that he would probably terminate her and put the training and all that stuff to, well, pretty much...
What a waste.
What a waste of time. So, anyway, we get to the mission. She is at the diner. She's got a nice gown. She's looking fabulous.
Very nice.
And like the wolf being tempted by bait, he approaches her, James approaches her, and chats her up and asks her, what are you doing on a Saturday night? Stuff like that. And she says, I'm washing my hair. But he says, well, you're coming out with me, and you're going to wear red lipstick. And
so you can wash your hair the night before.
Yeah. So he invites her out, and she wears this beautiful red gown.
Oh, by the way,
lipstick.
She carries a whiskey flask.
Yeah, I should mention this, guys.
And she puts some of the drugs in there. She's going to try to get the guys to drink it so they can... experience their worst fears as well.
Yeah. So they go on a date, and we meet the boys. We see them in what they're like outside of their group. We see, I think it was Nelson, who is he's with his mother, and they're dining at dinner time.
Like a husband and wife almost. Yeah. And Daddy's in jail, we believe.
Yeah, we learned this.
Very well talking.
Shane is with his girlfriend, and they had a bit of a you-know-what.
They're just getting up out of bed. Yeah.
Yeah. And let me see. Danny who is pretty much...
rich kid?
A rich kid, but I think he's also just as dedicated in killing as the group.
Oh, he's crazy. I think he's the craziest one.
Yes. So they meet Veronica, and Smith think she's pretty cool, and... They then get into the car, and they even smash a few mailboxes.
On the way. But you know how to do in those sort of movies.
They then arrive in the deepest part of the woods, and they get out of the car, and they make their way to an area that makes me think of something out of that Are You Afraid of the Dark setting sort of thing.
And actually, one thing struck me for his movie. During this part of the driving there, there was light rain.
Yes, there was.
All right.
Right.
When they got to where they're sitting on those chairs...
yeah, they're dry.
The chairs are dry. However, a bit later on it's raining, so... okay. It's a little bit of a problem.
I gotta admit, the woods here makes
me
think of when I was doing one of my first film projects. Well, not my first film projects. No. My second film project, where I was doing Attack of the Cat People, and on the first night... it was raining.
Yeah, and we were totally off the grid. We were on lead lights and whatever and stuff, and generators and okay. So
anyway, it was very damp weather, and
we
it was
nearly
really
called
chilly.
quits, but everyone said no. We'll soldier on, didn't we?
Yes, we did. So anyway, they settle into there, and they start playing a truth and dare game, obviously, where they have to say either truth or dare.
And obviously, it's being set up.
Yeah. Eventually, she gives him a drink of the flask, mixed with whiskey and the other stuff.
Yeah, so he passes the other three guys who had a swig, but Jamison didn't have any.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, they begin. She was also tempted to drink, but I think you said something about how you can pretend to drink, but you don't actually drink.
Well, he didn't even do it, but the other guys had a swig. Yeah, but even if he did, he would have had a drink. He had no idea it was poison. Oh, you had drugs in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you told me the only way to do this is to put your tongue over the lid.
Yeah, so put your tongue over top, swig it up, pretend to drink, put it down again, and no one will know you didn't have a drink. But he had no idea there was drugs in the flask. He just didn't want to have a drink.
Yeah, anyway, soon enough, the next dare is to tie Veronica up, and one of the guys uses his belt for that, because the others had to wear...
They had suspenders. Okay, who wears suspenders nowadays?
That's what I wonder about this
I'm thinking
movie.
getting a pair, though.
Anyway, so
Keep my pants up.
so they tie her up, and the next dare is he asks for truth again, and she says, "Do you know a girl named Gwen who disappeared not a while back?" And they're all looking at each other and looking at her, and they're wondering, how did she know about Gwen? She's new to. I mean,
She's psychic.
because they assume Veronica arrived here in town. She's new to town.
Well, she said she was new in town. Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, so how does she know about this
networking.
girl? Anyway, they then the last dare they say to her is for her to run, meaning they want her
They want to hunt her down and kill her. So
Yeah.
we'll give you 5 minutes.
Yeah. They then can't do a countdown, and then she screams, and then they say, "We're in the middle of the woods. There's no one here to hear you screaming."
But
So
Danny can't wait. He runs off after
Yeah.
about a minute. You know,
yeah, each one makes their way out into the woods. Of course, Veronica ceases the acting and unties herself from the
Yeah, she
belt.
took her hands out of the belt, but at
And-
this time the drugs are starting to kick
Yeah,
in
the
too.
drugs themselves are starting to kick in, and it's Danny, the crazy one.
Weird guy.
Yeah, he starts seeing two panda type
Yeah,
images.
two people in suits
dressed in pandas.
with panda heads. Yeah,
We don't know what that's about. Maybe
and
he's
I ain't got no idea. Did he get scared by a panda when he was a child?
or scared of people who dressed as pandas.
Pandas? Ooh, I
Anyway-
hate clowns.
Yeah. Anyway, he freaks out and he tries to throw an axe at them, and eventually Veronica was able to fool him and eventually knock him down
and gets the axe off him.
and kind of axe him.
Right in the chest. What a nice way to
Is
go.
I think it's Shane, obviously, and he is dreaming.
Nelson.
Nelson. Oh, obviously.
The faceless guy to the marshal?
Yeah, he sees some faceless ski mask type.
The balaclavas,
Yeah.
wear a
wearing
ski mask.
wearing black vests or black sweaters. It makes me think of prom night.
Or soldiers going into battle. Yeah.
That's what I think about in the scene, because the guy looks like the killer in prom night when I think about it. Anyway, they start circling him, and he starts trying to swing his bat at them. And unfortunately, he keeps missing. And
Well, they're not there, you see. He's hallucinating, but
Yeah.
only one of them is real,
Yeah.
and that is our girl.
Yeah, Veronica does kick him down a couple of times during the scene. He also, and when he's finally at his weakest, he then has a vision of his mother, obviously, and eventually he is taken down, obviously.
He picks up a great big rock and smashes his head in. What another nice way to go.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, Shane, I think it was it?
Well, when Jamison finds
Yeah,
the bodies.
Shane eventually hears a car coming, and he sees his girlfriend Jennifer arrive, and he then also James appears before him, and they start having a conversation. Like James goes on about how
Jamison
starts talking about what do they do out in the woods, and he says that they talk, they drink, and stuff like that, and Jameson also reveals that they hunt down girls and stuff like that and kill them.
Yeah.
And of course, he fights off. Jameson was about to kill Jennifer in the scene, but unfortunately, Shane jumps in and strangles him and tries to strangle his girlfriend a little bit. But then we find it's not her he's strangling, it's Veronica strangling. And eventually, Veronica being the strongest of the two, she was able to, take him out too, eventually.
Well, there you go.
We also learned that Jameson also had a bit of had sex with Jennifer, I think.
Yeah.
We learned that.
Well, before and during.
Yeah. It seems like
her
that's
involvement with Shane.
Shane's biggest fear, like him being found out, and and finding out the truth, obviously, that his girlfriend was being fooling around, obviously. Anyway, so we're left with Jameson and Veronica now, and he eventually approaches her and asks her about why his friends are tripping out and stuff like that, and she tells him the truth, tells him that about the alcohol and stuff like that, and he's impressed with her. Like he's never
he's
met.
really impressed. Hey, I like you, girl. Like we can hang out together and do this together.
Yeah, right.
I like that's going to happen.
No, she's on the opposite side of the board in this case. So anyway, he doesn't attack her at first. He tells her,
he lets her have a rest because he knows she's been working hard. And he comes out like a nice, friendly, caring soul.
They play a game where one has to tell the truth.
You have a chance to ask questions, but you have to tell the truth. Yeah.
She then asks him how many girls, and it sounds like they have a very big record of girls they killed.
Over 20, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He said,
Yeah, quite a bit. Anyway, he...
Yeah, 21, yeah.
She then asks him about, did he really sleep with Jennifer? And he says, pretty much right out,
well, sleeping wasn't the problem. It was what they're doing when they weren't sleeping.
Yeah. She then says that it was Shane's worst fear, and he kind of laughs it off, saying, nah, that's not anyone's worst fear, blah, blah, blah. But then again, Jameson, it doesn't seem to care about girls or...
He doesn't care about anybody.
Anyway, eventually they fight, and after we think that Veronica will be defeated, but eventually she gets the upper hand by putting him in a chokehold and choke him out, and she takes the remaining bits of the drug alcohol and
pours it down his throat. Makes him swallow it.
And then she drags his body to a spot where he's got a noose around his neck.
And he's standing on a tree stump or something.
And she then asks him about does he believe in God, stuff like that. And then he starts seeing the girls in the woods.
All the girls he'd killed are starting to come out of the woods and
he starts panicking and freaking out. And then one of the girls starts floating in midair.
Was that Gwen, the last one?
Yeah, it could be Gwen or the girl. And then he falls off the stump and he chokes himself to death and dies. And then Will approaches Veronica out of the woods, and he says, "Well done," and they both walk off and have pancakes at the diner. And
she didn't even wash her face.
No, she's
muddy
still
and horrible and stuff.
Mud and dirt and a little bit of a cut on her nose from.
It was someone punched her in the face, something or something, and broke her nose. She had to reset the nose, and push it back into place herself, which that had hurt.
Will congratulates Veronica, and they continue eating their pancakes.
He put lots of whipped cream on top. Yummy.
Yeah. The end. We fade to black, and as we fade to the credits, we see her typing on a typewriter, and we see a lot
resume. One vigilante.
Or typing up a file saying the deceased file. So and so's dead, and the justice has been served. Yada yada. Anyway, the rest of the scene, that particular post credits, the credits roll, and we see bits of the images of the girls and the boys that were killed, and that's pretty much it. Obviously, we just fade to black, and the movie ends. Obviously.
There you go. Now, okay, I've got a lot to go on here to tantalise you, but I will say this: the filming began in November 2012.
Right.
So it did take a while to get to the cinema. It was filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Okay.
There you go. So another good product out of Canada.
Yeah, it's a shame that this product gave negative. Not many people liked it very much.
Well, I didn't say that. I said there's only a couple of reviews here, so I don't know. But basically, the reception wasn't that warm. I mean, when you got something like Rotten Tomatoes, and you had 13 people giving a critique on it.
Yeah.
You're 31%. Well, that's fine, but if you had 100 people, it might be different. So, Variety, the guy, Justin Chang at Variety, wasn't overly impressed with it. But it may not be his style of movie either. Yeah. And there's Joe Niemeyer, I think. New York Daily News gave it 0 out of 5. And he obviously doesn't like this sort of a movie. But there's no other things. There's no Metacritic. There's no number. So I don't really know. But these guys obviously clearly didn't like it.
They probably, as Mike would put it, and I think I agree, I think it's more of an artistic thriller-type horror movie.
I would say it doesn't rate as an A movie, but it's not a B movie. I think it's bordering on art house movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It's not quite the same. Like Andy Warhol used to do movies, they were made for art house, but his movies are crap. This isn't a bad movie.
Yeah, and I do think that I liked the locations, and I like the fact it takes place. The lighting was pretty cool. Oh, I should mention, when me and Mike were watching the movie yesterday, we saw some wires, in the woods.
We think in one scene, it's either two remarkably straight, slender tree branches lying down on the left-hand side of the screen, going away to a point in the distance, or they could possibly be some electrical wiring which has been wrapped in plastic because it was a little bit shiny, and the tree branches wouldn't be that shiny and reflective.
Yeah.
So we got a funny feeling that there was a little bit of a mistake there.
Considering that it was... they were probably using special raining thingy wings to make sure it looks rainy, and they need to protect the wires from getting wet.
We think it was towards the last 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah, last 2/3.
2/3, on the last third of the movie or last quarter of the movie, when he gets there, when running through the woods after he's killed a few people. Left hand side of the screen, you see, okay, is it wiring or some tree branches? Funny thing that, hey.
Funny. But there's really good lighting. I like the fact when they light up the trees in certain spots in the footage.
Yeah, they had a lot of distant lighting coming from, say, 100 metres, 100 yards away, whatever, shining through the trees, and it really gave a great effect. And I'm into I'm hoping to get into some filming myself, but I love low light filming, but I like the idea of using ambient light more so. But this really gave a presence, even though we know it was fake lighting, so it wasn't okay. Yeah, but they highlight all the trees and had all these twisted shapes and stuff, and you go, ooh, that looks a bit eerie. It looks good.
I do think it's interesting, and I don't have anything against it. It looks. As I said before, I think that the director who did this, I think he was trying to emulate the noir look.
Well, a new noir sort of.
A new noir look. Even though people, to the reviewers, may not understand the style. And that's probably their problem, and they don't seem to see a creative vision in this movie. They think that they're thinking too much of what... modern movies should be.
So I think the three reviews aren't actually focused really on what it is, more so what they like in a movie. So
I mean,
movies I don't like the reviews.
Movies get moderner every day, and change.
And when someone reinvents the wheel and does something different, it's sort of like, who's that artist? Monet? Is it the guys, the Impressionist guys?
Claude Monet, Renoir,
no one appreciated the work because
Degas' work.
It's not finished, it's horrible, blah, blah. They weren't appreciated till years later because the people at the time didn't really understand what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this before about movies. I know that there are some movies that I don't really appreciate nowadays, but I imagine in 10 or 20 years' time, it will turn into a cult classic to the next generation.
Well, here's something. Cult classics. And I'm going to mention a couple here. Rocky Horror Picture Show. That was made, 40 odd year ago? 40, 50 years ago? Now, that there, people are still watching it because it's a good cult movie. Not everyone has liked it all the time. It's you wouldn't make it now, would you? No. And then you got things like Eraserhead. That's a cult movie. I still don't understand the movie, but it's a cult classic. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's other movies like that, and
Yeah, and Mike, you might hate me saying this movie because we've often discussed it on our podcast so many times. The Room, which is
Tell me why,
which too many
Now,
people still think it's
no,
wonderful.
not too many. There's a small niche of people who like the movie.
Yeah.
They may see something in it that nobody else does. Well, fine, but that's fine. But I was going to actually say another movie, but I lost my train of thought now. But
Right.
yeah, but there's movies like Carnival of Souls.
Right.
The original one back in the 50s, done by Herc Harvey. Now, that was the only time Herc Harvey actually made a film. He did more training films, whatever, I think, or ads or something. But I think it was training films. And what happened is, it wasn't appreciated while he was alive, but sometime after he died, it became a cult classic. So he never survived to see his baby get appreciated by the masses. But now, it's still a second-rate movie. It's a B movie, but I still enjoy watching it.
Yeah, see?
This doesn't fall in that category. I think it's somewhere in between cult classic and A movie.
Yeah, exactly, guys.
Yeah.
It just takes a few years before a movie becomes a cult classic.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the ones that I watched in the 90s have... maybe some of the 90s ones would have gone on to be cult classics.
Well,
just some of the good ones, obviously, that
Well,
are still building an audience around.
Yeah, well, there's a difference between a cult classic and a classic movie. You look at something like Ben-Hur, okay, or Zulu,
Right.
really good movies, way back when. You can still watch them today and really get a good buzz out of watching them. Those sort of movies, they're great. But the point is that you wouldn't actually spend that much money making those movies today. You want better value for money. Because it's really hard to a cast of thousands of different things like Sister Beta Mildred. Well, you're not going to do that. You can't afford it.
It is hard to reinvent the wheel. I mean, especially when we're so gotten used to the plot that we've have used over and over again, or certain stuff over and over again, because we think that it seems popular or interesting to reuse every so often.
Well, that's it. And
although some reviewers who watch certain movies who think, "Oh, this plot again, it's no different from its predecessor."
That's the problem. They say though, if they make a similar movie using a similar theme, similar plot, the reviewers don't like it. And when you go and reinvent the wheel and say, "Hey, I'm going to do something new,"
the
reviewers don't like it. So you turn around and say, "How do I please the reviewers?" I mean, the real ones like the Variety and and other people, the magazine guys and the newspaper guys. Where do they draw the line, saying, "Oh, it's not what I like, so it's a load of crap"?
Yeah.
No, you need to be a better open reviewer and say, "I don't like this sort of movie, but I can see good stuff in it, which I don't necessarily like, but at least give it a good, unbiased critique on."
I mean, I agree, Mike. I mean, there are some movies I don't like, but there's something I like about them. I mean, it may not be my favorite movie, but there are some things that grab my attention.
Well, he's a good example. I can watch a girly movie with my daughter or my wife or whatever, my other daughter, and I can watch it. I can appreciate it for what it is. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it myself, but I will share it with somebody else and try to find redeeming quality, like The Notebook. That's a good one. Not my style of movie, but it's a good movie. Okay, but I wouldn't go and watch it by myself. I mean, I have to share it with a woman with a handkerchief in her hand, like my daughter or my other daughter or my wife. But no, I don't like those sorts of movies because I don't like that sort of funny love story sort of thingy-wingies and not my stuff.
Yeah, well,
but I still can appreciate it.
Yeah, I like a few, but I'm more partial to something a little bit more that kind of goes for a different direction. Obviously, I mean,
I want something fresh.
I like something fresh that will grab people's attention. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, you get a movie. Okay, here's a good crappy movie. What's the word? Is it Mars Attacks?
Yeah.
With Pierce Brosnan and all the other people in it.
Yep.
Now, that's a crappy movie.
Very.
But, however, it's so much fun because it's just so much tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
It's out there in left field somewhere. It's a load of rubbish, but it's just such a fun movie to watch.
It's Tim Burton's funny parody. Yeah, that's a parody. Where he's making fun of the whole alien abduction, yada yada.
All those
stuff,
little movies they did back in the 50s
back
and
in
stuff.
the 1950s.
And here we go.
We're making fun of those types of things.
And it's a fun movie, even though it's crap. But it is. Tim Burton did a great job.
I agree.
But not my favourite movie, but I really enjoy watching it.
Yeah, he seems to have a lot of fun with
different.
that one. Yeah.
And not to mention, you mentioned Tim Burton.
Tim Burton directed the thing.
Yeah, but you look at Tim Burton movies like A Nightmare Before Christmas, or like those animated things. I wouldn't normally go and watch those, but when I took my kids to watch them when they were younger, they had a ball, and I thought, wait, this guy is good. I wouldn't go and watch it by myself necessarily, but I wouldn't mind sharing it with somebody like the grandkids now and other people.
I feel the same way about Beetlejuice and
Beetlejuice is another good example.
And Batman. I mean the Tim Burton one, obviously.
I
always like to watch it with a group of friends and people.
Did Burton make Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow.
It's got the the Tim Burton theme to it, and the Danny Elfman theme to it.
Danny Elfman, good film.
Maybe I might have to look it up again to see if Danny did take part.
Danny has been with him for a bit. Yeah.
I do wonder if they're good friends or they work working together.
They're good collaborators. Could be friends in us. Anyway, listen, we are dragging you on a bit here now. Look, I won't put this at the top of the pile. I'll give it a 10, but I'm going to give it about a 9 because it really ticks all the right boxes. I'm only knocking a point or two of it, 1 point of it, because they could have done a little bit more with it. That's all. But I mean, some of the running around and the fight scenes, it was a little bit predictable.
I did think, like Mike here, the first half and the second half of the movie, it's more like a training film, more than a slasher horror, or not slasher. It was not a slasher.
They could have shortened the training, that first part a bit. Fattened up the middle about doing a bit of surveillance, maybe, instead of go, oh, there the guys are in the diner. That's your target for tomorrow night. No. There could have been a bit more surveillance, something in there. But a few little things were missed out. But I mean, hey, if this is Tyler's first go at directorship, I'm not going to put the guy down.
Another thing Mike and I were talking about is how they discovered that these four guys are the responsible. How did they know it wasn't a principal or a teacher that might have been molested the girls and killed them?
I think they were suspects, but no one could prove anything. And maybe the local police had some files there, which this guy William was privy to.
It makes sense if the fact that the girls, the 20 girls that he mentioned,
21 girls, whatever.
They may have been from different schools, different from different.
A little bit of a country town type thing.
Considering they're in a country town, some of them may have been traveling, coming. They may have been traveling, coming through.
Coming through local school, whatever.
Local school, and they probably did in the past when they did try to search for the girls in the past. They probably found out that they all attended different schools.
Well, there could have been a couple of schools in the area.
And some of them may have just been,
towns,
and maybe some of them may have been on holiday here, the whole.
Well, Gwen, the one they killed at the beginning of the movie, she was working at the diner, but they mentioned that she actually was going to school, so she could have been a part-time job. So she could have been a high school student. And so some of the other ones might have been as well. Yeah,
maybe, or they didn't know them, considering that. Like Veronica, for instance, she was at the diner. He approached her, chatted her up, and then
she said, "I'm new in town."
This may have been in the past. Maybe some of the other girls were new in town. Maybe
some might moved in.
May have been on holiday with parents. Backpacking. Or stuff like that. There's no backstory to the girls.
Having said that, don't really need it for this movie. I think it actually stands by itself without all the other padding. So yeah,
quite right.
Having said, it's only about 84 minutes, or was it 84 minutes long? So they could have filled up another half an hour of padding, but you don't need it.
Right. So I do think this movie is worth.
It's worth a watch.
Watch, guys.
Having said that, where do you get it? Well, I'll tell you right now. Now, remember, I'm going to say this again. It's called Final Girl, not The Final Girl or not The Final Girls. It is a Final Girl is the title, 2015. Okay, now, if you're not sure, look for the people who actually made the movie. Tyler Shields, Abigail Breslin's the main female lead in it. You find that, you got the right film.
Yeah.
Now, eBay, there is plenty for sale. Amazon, it looks like it's a rent only, but it's out there, so some of your streaming sites may have it and other platforms. You might
by
be
the way,
able to source
guys,
a copy.
I didn't say my rating yet, so
Sorry.
I'm going to say 8.5 out of 10
Yeah,
because that's my opinion.
8.5 and a 9. That's not too bad, but it's a good watch. There's a bit of action. There's enough action in it.
Yeah.
Got a good storyline, and excuse me, and I think the characters are believable. Yeah, so it's something. But I like the filming in the woods more than in the forest.
Yeah.
I mean that's what Sarah said before. The lights coming out through the trees. Now they could have had a couple of spotties up the back there or something, or a car or something, whatever they're using. Just enough light to come through to highlight silhouettes of the trees and stuff. And it looked marvellous. And when it comes to that, you got to take your hat off to the director and the DOP. And I think the DOP was.
And the what do they call them? The grid? Not the grid. I mean
the group.
Not the grip. I mean.
Best Boy Electrical.
The person who the electrical
Best Boy Electrical.
Yeah.
But anyway, the cinematographer was Gregory Middleton. So between Gregory Middleton and Tyler Shields, they got a great atmosphere in the bush area where they were running around and killing each other. It's very good. Had a great feel. It makes me wonder whether I'm ever going to go into the woods again at night.
Anyway, it's an interesting movie, guys, and as Mike said here earlier, do not confuse this movie with the Final Girls. I'm not going to stress this to you guys, but if you do look at the poster, you'll see that Veronica is wearing a reddish dress, holding an axe, and the two men are standing side by side against her. The
protagonist and antagonist on either side of her.
So don't confuse this with the other movie because they're both different, and of course, the other one, of course, the Final Girls is actually more of a parody comedy.
And it's funny. It's a comedy.
Yes. So don't confuse this movie with that.
Yeah. Anyway, that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So anyway, that's it for us, and be sure to check it out and let us know in the comments what you think of it too, as usual. So this is Sarah Stephenson
and Michael
saying see you guys around, and we'll see you guys in our next episode, whenever that might be.
Yippee!
So see you guys around on Boys and Ghouls Film Review. Bye for now.
Bye.